Do rising temperatures, melting ice, deforestation, pollution levels bother you? Does climate crisis stress you out? If the answer to all of this is yes, then you could be suffering from eco-anxiety. Researchers, especially psychologists who work on climate change, its issues and how it impacts humans, have also expressed time and again that climate change can hamper mental health. One of the most common responses to climate change among people is worry. This worry does not stay limited to just that. It turns into anxiety, which experts now call eco-anxiety. A climate action survey conducted by a university, and in their published reports, it stated that out of almost 5,000 respondents, at least 19% of students and 25% of staff said they were extremely worried about climate change, while over 36% and 33% stated they were very worried. The scale of it affecting our mental health has gone much higher as compared to the previous year, as per the study. Apart from being worried, there are other emotions which are also likely to play out, like feelings of anger, anxiety, sadness, powerlessness, guilt, and helplessness. However, experts warn that we should not be surprised by these emotions because it is the reality. This is what they have coined as eco-anxiety. Every country in the world is experiencing the ravages of climate change in some way or the other. Countries are suffering, and this is bound to leave the rest of us anxious because of the uncertainty. There have been massive floods, earthquakes, food shortages, extreme weather, along with it comes a huge death toll. So what are the experts' opinion? Eco-anxiety is currently not listed in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. This means that doctors do not officially consider that to be a diagnosable condition. Mental health experts, however, consider it rational and use this term within the field of eco-psychology, which is a branch that deals with people's psychological relationships with the rest of nature and how this impacts their identity, well-being, and health. So how do you deal with eco-anxiety? Studies have found that going for walks in nature may be beneficial for people who have eco-anxiety or climate anxiety. Hobbies like gardening, planting trees, and other similar activities could foster a sense of connectiveness with the natural world, and meditating in nature could also be helpful. Climate change is taking place all across the world. Some countries have been ravaged more than others, and yet there is just one planet to live on. So what are we feeling now is exactly what a million others could be feeling in any other part of the world. And for more on this, Kata Nylen, who is a climate psychologist, joins us live from Stockholm. Kata, welcome to WION.
Thank you very much.
Now, I have tried my best to explain to the viewers in my read about this phenomenon, but can you elaborate on what eco-anxiety is and how to manage it?
So eco-anxiety is like a collective word for all the different emotions that we feel when we come across the climate change in different ways. It can be that we actually get affected by climate change or that we think about it and have a fear of what's coming in the future. So anger, fear, sorrow, shame, guilt are common eco-anxiety emotions. And it's not really a psychiatric disease. It's more like a very reasonable reaction to what we are experiencing right now.
How can you manage it, Kata?
One thing is very important when you get these emotions. Well, for the first of all, emotions are never wrong. Emotions are not dangerous. It's just things that the body does to us. And the emotions tell us to actually do something. It motivates us to do something about it. So the more we can actually act towards a more sustainable future, act to lower the impact of climate change, act to build resilience in our communities, the better it is for us, the easier it is for us to handle the eco emotions. So acting in a collective way, being together with other people and doing something about it seems to be very, very important. But at the same time, if your emotions are so strong, you're angry so you can't think clearly, or you're so sad so you can't get out of bed, then you have to sort of regulate your emotions as well via talking with people about it, maybe doing things that are positive for you, like exercise, eating good food, being out in nature is also important parts. But the main thing is to find a community, find people that you can talk about this, that you can share your emotions with, and that you can actually do something about the situation together with.
Talking about the community, you as a climate psychologist, what are the symptoms of eco-anxiety? Give us an example of a person suffering from it, and what do they exhibit?
Well, it can look quite different. Its symptoms can be that you have this feeling in your body that you feel very sad or very low, that maybe you can't think that other things are important, that you're so focused on thinking about climate change. So it's difficult for you to think about other stuff. But as well, a person with lots of eco-anxiety could also be a person that think about lots of other things and have a normal life, go to work and be with your family and all that. But at the same time, have this sort of feeling that something is not right inside of you, that you have to do something. It's like a little itch sort of that tells you that I need to do something about it. And it depends on what part of the world you live in and what situation you are in climate change. Like in my part of the world, Sweden, where we don't see as much of climate change, it can be a lot about actually that you have a sorrow or shame or a feeling of guilt that you're not doing enough, that you live above the limits that we have, the natural resources that we have on this planet. In other parts of the world where you're already affected by droughts or catastrophe weather and so on, it can be the feeling of being really afraid of how you're going to get food the next day, or if you can stay in your house, or if you have to move, and so on. So it's this very broad area of emotions and symptoms.
Thank you, Carter, for explaining all that. Now I understand. But finally, what do governments need to do to create, awareness of this fear of climate change? And can eco-anxiety be stopped or controlled?
Well, the only way eco-anxiety can be stopped or controlled is by lowering emissions and by making climate change happening less, so actually saving the planet or heightening biodiversity and so on. So the main thing the governments should do is to restore our natural habitats, is to take care of the atmosphere and the planet, stop fossil fuels industries and so on. That's the main thing that government should do. But also to inform about emotions and to prepare people to actually be able to handle the emotions is an important part as well, as people are really, really suffering on an emotional level. And you can do that via schools or your NHS services. Just inform people that you can have these emotions. They tell you to do something about it. They're not dangerous. You have to take care of yourself and be prepared as well, because we have to realize that climate change is here now. And we have to also build resilience in our communities.
Carter Nyland, climate psychologist, thank you very much for your insights and for talking to WION World is One. Now I understand what eco-anxiety is.
Thank you so much for taking me in here.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.